Welcome to the Faith Ignite Show. My name is Rosa Williamson, and I'm here with my wonderful husband,
Devon Williamson, and we are so excited you guys decided to tune into this episode today. And we're just going to ask you guys to do a few things before we get started. If this content is helping you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you become a part of what Faith Ignite is doing, because when you do so, we're able to take these messages of faith around the world. And so just make sure you lean in, you tap in. You can follow us on Instagram. You can be able to subscribe on our YouTube channel. But just find some way to be plugged in so we can continue to take this message of faith around the world. And so we have a very important guest with us. I just randomly met her one day in a chapel service, and I felt the Lord said that she needed to be on the show. And so I asked her very politely, and she'll go into detail into the episode, but I asked her what was the story behind her crutches, and that opened up a gateway for allowing her to be on this platform today. And so I hope you guys are tuned. I know I'm going to be blessed. I know you guys are going to be blessed by the story, but I hope you guys are ready and excited for an amazing testimony. So with that said, allow us to introduce Mrs. Cole. Well, Cole, thank you so much for being on the show. We're excited to dive into this conversation about what life looks like for Cole, and what life is like, and what life is going to be. So just for our audiences listening, who is Cole?
Cole is a daughter of God, but what Cole has gone through is a different story. Growing up, a broken home, I'm not going to get into all of that because most of us are from broken homes nowadays. Most of us know what that means. High school, around 14, I dipped into drugs and alcohol. That is when that started for me. I didn't know why. I just knew that there was a void and I needed it filled with something. So I started reaching out to everything. I started reaching out to boys at a young age just for that attention, that father figure that I didn't have. And drugs seemed to numb a lot of it in a weird way. And it just got deeper and deeper. And by the time I was, let's say 18, I had dropped out of high school. I was really into meth and coke, pretty good at that time. And I knew I wanted to go into the military. G.I. Jane, that movie came out. And I was like, yes, I want to be that. You know, she was strong. She was independent. She was confident. And that was something like, to everybody else, I appeared to be that person. But inside, I was screaming for help. And it seemed like the only way to really do that without looking like drama was to just go to the parties, get drunk, pretend to be happy, do what you got to do to not feel the shame and guilt that's already inside of you at a young age. So anyways, I knew I wanted to be G.I. Jane, and 9/11 had happened when I was 15, and I was very upset. So at 18, I got my GED, went in, enlisted, waited until my mom was on vacation so that she couldn't talk me out of it. I went and did it. That next summer I left. After boot camp, I graduated with a broken pelvic bone. They said I was so little and my muscles grew so fast, it just put that pressure and snapped it on our last 6-mile march. Pain. So anyways, and then a couple years later, I had the opportunity to go to Iraq and fight for our country. You didn't think about it then, but now being 35, I think, wow, at 19, no, I was 21. At 21, I had to think about what it would be like to not be able to come home. And I had to say my goodbyes, just in case. Then, you're gung-ho, you're ready. So anyways, I did. I made it back with 10 fingers and 10 toes. And got invited to do a photo shoot. Chicks on Bikes for an autism calendar shoot. And I got there, and it was with some not very nice people. And I don't mention their names. It was a 1% biker club. If you know anything about that, they run drugs and guns, throughout the world. And I knew as soon as I got there, oh, you did it now, Cole. And I just started drinking immediately. And my best friend was with me. I brought her with me, and I told her, just try to have a good time. We're going to go have a good time. There was some more things that happened that night, but the only thing that I'm able to share at the moment is that was the same day I lost my leg. We were really drunk, and we went on a bike ride to get more cigarettes. And all I remember was the bike behind me and me. They were kind of playing in the road, and we were just laughing. And we come up to a stop sign, and I remember turning to the left, and I just saw a truck. And I don't really remember the rest. I woke up in the hospital, but from what they tell me, the truck hit us doing 75 miles an hour when we were turning. And they said my leg and the truck went that way, 75 yards. I went up as high as a house, landed face first on the road, dead. And the driver ended up in the ditch. And everybody was okay but me, so thank God. But there was a 4-year-old boy in the front of that truck that seen everything. So I woke up in the hospital, and no, before that I had an outer experience with God. And I remember being safe. I've never felt safety like this before. It felt like he had swaddled me in a bear blanket, and he was holding me. He was like in a wooden rocking chair. You know those old people that have the rocking chairs on their front porch?
Yeah.
It was like that. And he was just holding me. We were by a big fire, and I just remember, being so content. And then I heard the words, breathe, baby, just breathe. And I would take a breath, and I remember it hurt. Like head to toe, I never felt such pain in my life. And I remember thinking like, no, I want to go back to where I was. So I did. And then I'd hear that voice again, breathe, baby, just breathe. And I remember thinking, like, who would be so selfish to make me want to come back to that pain? Like, But I did. And about 2 months later, I was telling that story to my friends, and my mom was in the living room crying. And after everybody left, I asked her, like, what's wrong? And she says, that was me. You were dying for the 3rd time. And I was asking you to breathe because the doctor said there's nothing else we can do. And I was like, huh. So I was mad at her for a while, but you know, it's her mom. So anyways, the next 7 years was full of depression, overusing meds, and a lot of anger. I was mad at God. I thought he had done it. I thought he punished me because when I got back from Iraq, I was running around. You know, I was real damaged, and I got pregnant. And I felt like I wasn't good enough to be a mom. So I made that choice to have an abortion. And I had been living, I mean, we're talking from a kid up till now, just shame on top of shame on top of shame. And there was no way I could get out. And then I met Jeremy. And Jeremy was nice. And Jeremy was a Marine. And he was strong and confident. Something I wasn't. And I knew I needed that. And when he asked me to marry him, you would think I'd hit rock bottom a long time ago, but no, it was after he asked me to marry him. Because I couldn't fathom the idea of somebody wanting to love me. I had one leg, I had scars. I had done some really bad things. And it was just, that's not something that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So it was after we got married that I started going to church with him. For 2 years, this man asked me to go to church with him, and I would just say no. He'd say, okay, I'll be back later. He'd never argue. I was just, and that's when I started my healing journey. I ended up in the mental home for the last time. I saw Jesus' face in my wheelchair. It's a whole nother story. And I said, okay, now it's time. It's time. I've tried everything else. It's time to trust you. And that's 2018, February 2018 is when I quit. And one day I quit smoking cigarettes. I quit taking pills, and I quit drinking.
Wow.
And one day, and he gave me what I needed to get through the withdrawals,
Right.
he put people in front of me to get that healing. And I'm still on that journey. And that's why I'm at ORU now on another mission for him. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Wow. Wow. What a story.
There's so much to unpack there.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow. I'm trying to
Yeah.
there's just so much. So what was it like? So for that person that's possibly doing the same thing where
Yeah.
they're trying to figure out, okay, like they're trying to go through the motions and trying to find that or fill that void, you said.
Right.
What would you tell them? Because I mean, you've been through your fair share of like experiences in life, but what would you tell that person who is trying to fill that void like you were doing when you were younger?
The more you'll start to believe in it yourself. And the more I began to believe in it myself, the more I was then able to love my husband.
Yeah.
Because you can fake it.
Mm-hmm.
You can fake it all day long. But when it's real, you know it, you feel it, and you honor it, and you stay loyal to that because that's something that is from God. And that's something that can't be broken.
Yeah.
So I think self-love and knowing who you are with God is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
So I'm thinking about it now because in this day, in this age, and this culture, people try to find their truth essentially,
Yes.
and they try to, okay, well, this is what it is today. This is what it'll be tomorrow. But I know it can get tiring just trying to go from here to there. But like, what is it? Okay, what was it like living life on the other side, not knowing God, or not even like living a life for Him? What was that like? Was it just exhausting? Was it like tiring? Was it just like, what's the point of living kind of thing? What was that like?
Definitely was like, what is the point in this? I can't tell you how many times I've had a gun to my head.
Mm-hmm.
Just praying for the courage to pull the trigger because I was tired. I was exhausted mentally and physically. Yet I kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting more tired. What was the question? Sorry.
I just like, what was it like? What was that feeling like of just doing the same thing over? Like, what was it exhausting?
Yes.
Was it tiring?
It
Like,
was.
what was that whole experience like for you?
Yeah, just you keep the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
It never happens, and it's never going to happen. Yet we keep striving for the what if, but without God, you're not going to find it.
Right.
Yeah.
So exhausting, tiring, guilt, shame, heavy,
Yeah.
very heavy.
Wow.
So now tell me, you and Jeremy got married, and you said for 2 years he was telling you to go to church and you didn't go. So when was that day? Tell me about that day that you finally just decided to say yes.
I broke. That was the day I was done fighting God, and I was ready to surrender. Like, dive in, gut me head to toe. Here I am, surrender. Like, it took all. That's why I'm not mad at that process, because TD Jake says it, the crushing process, that's where you grow.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I didn't have all that, I wouldn't have been at rock bottom. If I wasn't at rock bottom, I wouldn't be so hungry today. So that day that I wake up, I'm done. I'm done. And I just go, and I heard one of the greatest speeches from one of the greatest men. And I swear I could feel the devil and God just pulling me, just fighting over me. And I'm just like, I don't even know what to do, but just be here. And that's all you had to do is just show up. Just show up, and he takes care of the rest.
Wow. So for 2 years, I'm still thinking about it. So for 2 years, a man loved you so much that he was willing to not force something on you, but he was asking, like, do you want to? And you just say, I don't know if you politely say no, or you just like, nope. But like for 2 years, he was that intentional. And so, like, what was that love? What was that process like from a perspective of love? Like, he loved you that much. He was patient with you. And like, I'm thinking about it. That took a lot for 2 years to ask the same question every Sunday. Every Sunday.
Yeah.
After the first or second no, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to stop asking.
Right?
But he did for 2 years straight.
Yes. Yeah. He likes to say that he has the patience of an oyster, which I believe that now. That is what that is the persistent love of God.
Yeah.
That is God chasing you.
Yeah.
That is God coming. That is God using him to show me, I'm not going to condemn you for not going, but I'm going to ask you, be with me. Just come spend time with me. Mm-hmm. And that's all Jeremy was doing, was just come spend time with me. And of course, I'd be sleeping. And no, it wasn't nicely all the time. Sometimes I would just look at him and you know my answer.
Right.
Just stop, go away. Like, why did you wake me up to get a no again? Yeah. And I'd go back to sleep. He would politely kiss me on the forehead, say, okay, I'll see you in a few hours. And he would go. Wow. And that would be that. God cares. Mm-hmm. He doesn't, we don't see it because we're not looking for it. Mm-hmm. But if we ask God for the spiritual eyes to see him, he's asking us every day to just come be my friend.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
What a gentleman Jeremy sounds like. I know. And I like, from his perspective, what does he tell you now? Like, what was he thinking during that 2-year process?
You know what? I don't think I've ever asked him that. That I might have to ask him that. Like, what was going on in your mind to just come to me every week and just get a no?
Yeah.
To be just shut down. Like,
immediately no.
So switching gears here. You said you lost your leg. I'm not sure how old you were then, but you lost your leg, and I knew that turned your world upside down. And so, what was that like after one moment having your leg, and then the other moment waking up in the hospital with your leg gone?
Another great question. This was in 2011, and I don't even know how old I was. I'm not doing the math right now. I'll take forever. So yeah, man, wow, yes. You are a soldier in war one day. People count on you. And then the next day you wake up and you have to count on others. Again, another thing that I'm glad of now, because it is still to this day teaching me how to let others help me. And that's a very hard lesson to learn. A lot of the world's morals and values are going away because we don't allow each other to help each other anymore. We're independent. We want to do it. We've got, and that was me. I felt like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
I had to, not only now did I have to do it, but now I had to be better than anybody else. I felt I had to not only prove to myself, but prove to other people that I was still capable. And I destroyed my body even worse. I have multiple hernias. Just from lifting too heavy and not the right way, not the right state of mind. So yeah, and then for a woman, I'm not being conceited, but God blessed me with some looks. So to be a beautiful woman one day and the next day to be cut up and scarred, again, all I could see were the broken pieces.
Yeah.
I didn't see a beautiful girl. I have it tattooed on my chest, beautiful disaster, because I thought that's what I was. Wow. I was, another tattoo below it is a bleeding heart grenade, because I thought everything I touch blows up.
Wow.
Everything I do, it's destroyed. So why even try anymore? And that's what brings you back into that depression. It's just this big old nasty circle. So I was surviving. I was not living at all. I was surviving.
Well, and so that got me thinking, like, the importance of the power of your thoughts. Like you talked about, like you have the tattoo says beautiful disaster, and that you said that's what you believed at that point. So your life reflected that.
Yeah.
And so now being on the other side where you found Jesus and like things are different. Like, how do you see the importance of your words now?
They're huge.
Mm.
Words are so strong. You know that phrase we grow up with, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That cannot be more wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Again, don't listen to society.
Yeah.
Go to God for the answers, because the truth is words hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt yourself, and you can put vows and judgments on yourself. This was a vow and judgment on myself, and I had to pray to God and break those chains, because I was turning into a disastrous person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not careful, you'll stay that way.
Yeah.
So back to love yourself.
Yeah.
Find that love. Dig into that love. Find out who God wants you to be, who He created you to be, and just dig into it, because there you will find the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have found it.
Yeah.
Back to, I just was remembering what you were saying before, G.I. Jane, and it seemed like even after going into the military and then losing your leg, you were still trying to be that strong, confident, and like in the midst of all the brokenness, going to the gym and all that. But now you're a new creation. You met the Lord. You have this beautiful relationship with Him. How would you describe where your strength and like your confidence comes from?
It all comes from Him. All of it. Before, I thought it was all me. I was like, yay, I did this, I did that. Me. And of course, I'm human. I still do that sometimes. But I'm learning. And I'm learning that none of it is possible without Him. I used to underestimate the statement of every breath comes from Him. But now I can feel Him in almost every breath.
To that person that is listening and similar situation where they think it's all me, like my strength, like I'm going to be the confident one, they're not relying on the Lord, what would you tell them how to make that switch? Because it can't just, I mean, maybe it was like one day, but sometimes it can't be easy just to, those thoughts to switch.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do it over and over again. I do motivational speakings to children. And what I tell them, especially in Taekwondo, failing is okay. Because society tells us if you want to be anything, then you won't fail. You'll just do great at it from day one, whatever. No, being great takes failure. Being great takes repetition. So if you're on top of the world one day and you're doing great and you're living by doing great, doing good things for God, living, right? I said that 100 times, sorry. But then the next day you get those thoughts again and you just hit rock bottom again. It's okay. Use it as a humbling moment. Grow from that moment. What is it in James? There's a verse in there. Again, I don't know the Bible yet because I'm still growing. But there's a verse and it says, take pleasure in your struggle. Or it's a moment to grow. It's hard to do, but with repetition, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. What else do you have to do? Just do it.
So one question we like to end our shows with is a personal from you to our audiences watching. But what's that one piece of advice you would leave with either your younger self or someone that's watching that thinks, or that's in a similar boat? What would you tell them so you can save them a life of hurt, a life of pain, or maybe give them some perspective that they may have never seen before?
Probably just to if you were in the same spot that I was in, then that means you don't feel loved. You don't feel cherished, and you don't feel deserving. So if I could say anything, it would be to just jump out of your comfort zone one last time, and trust Him. Just give it a shot. Had I given him a shot earlier and allowed him to work in my life, it probably would have turned out differently. But I was scared because I didn't know what would happen. What would he have me do? But God's a gentleman. He patiently waits. And he'll remind you every day that you're loved. And he will give you exactly what you need to get through the struggle that you're going through right now, if you just let him. So just let God. Let him be God.
Cole, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I mean, I could just sit here all day and listen to this and listen to you. Like, you're, like the Bible talks about all things work together for good that love the Lord. And you are living proof of that. Your life is it's such a breath of fresh air in a sense that your story, it's refreshing to see that what the enemy thought he had won, God came back and turned it around for good. Now, you're a billboard for the kingdom of God. So I am just honored to just be sitting here with you because your story, I was like, this is like a movie. Like I could sit here all day with some popcorn, just listen and watch because it was just that good. So I want to encourage you to keep on allowing the Lord to change your heart, transform you, because your story is going to touch a lot of lives. This is just a platform, but I'm sure you will get onto the right outlet where your story is going to change and minister to that person that's possibly thinking of living the same life that you were living.
I can only hope for that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me, both of you, so much.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to wrap this episode up. But if this story is helping or any of our other stories, feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, be able to join in with what Faith Ignite is doing as we continue to share stories around the world. You can visit our Instagram page. You can find updates and things on that page, on that platform. And please make sure you continue to tap in, continue to be a part of what we're doing, so we can continue to take this message of faith around the world. So until next time, we'll see you guys right back here.